Hello, Genie OK Boomer here. Welcome to today's vlog. Only one subject to talk about today. It's the Rittenhouse trial, the verdict. The verdict is in. Just came in a few minutes before I'm recording this, and you're seeing it the day after. As I said earlier in an earlier vlog, I make a point of not prejudging trials, of predicting verdicts. At least I don't express them. So I kept my thoughts to myself, but the verdict has been announced. And I can tell you all along that, in my opinion, that trial should never have occurred. Actually, somebody made a very good point. Let me put this in. It was not my point. Somebody else made it. The governor deployed 500 National Guardsmen to quell any possible riot that might occur after the verdict. It's so soon after the verdict, I can't, who knows, it's too soon. I pray that there won't be a riot, but the point that this other person made was that if the governor of Wisconsin had put 500 National Guardsmen on the street, maybe even more, in the first place, the riot never would have happened. It would never have happened, or at the very least, it would have been put down quickly, would not have been as serious as it was. And the shooting of these three people would never, in self-defense, we now have the jury verdict, it would never have happened. Now my thoughts. First of all, to the people, MSNBC, you turn it on, you're going to see the exploding heads and crying white supremacism, racism, yada, yada, yada. They have to remember, all of you should remember too, that it was a unanimous verdict of the jury, and they took 4 days. So it's not like they rushed to a verdict. They took 4 days. One juror wanted to see a piece of video again, so they took their time. But also you have to remember that the jurors were agreed to by both sides. The prosecution agreed to all of those jurors too, and they unanimously found him not guilty. So that is one important point I want to make, and that's kind of a delaying tactic in my speech because I'm trying to remember the other point. Well, I said that the trial never should have happened. The prosecution was so incompetent. That was my other thought as I was watching it. The arguments they made were so ridiculous. They were admonished twice by the judge. The defense moved 3 times for dismissal of the case, declare a mistrial with prejudice, and with prejudice means that he could not be tried again. Rittenhouse could not be tried again, and I wondered why the judge didn't, but a legal analyst gave a pretty good explanation, which I accept, which is that the judge was going to wait for the verdict, because if the verdict was not guilty, then that would have been the best outcome, and that settles the case. Rittenhouse cannot be tried again, and he's found not guilty. And now I just remembered the other point I want to make, but let me finish this one, that he would have waited if Rittenhouse had been found guilty, God forbid, on all 5 counts, that at that point the judge would have declared a mistrial. Because if you've been watching this trial at all, and I'm sure a lot of these talking heads on the liberal talking heads didn't watch any of the trial, but if you saw any of it, just excerpts, there was no way to think that he was guilty. And now the other point that I remembered, just as I was about, or that I thought of as I was about to make this point, and this will be my last point, unless I think of another one, which is our liberal friends have a big problem with the self-defensive use of firearms. They don't believe that anybody should have, no law-abiding citizen should have a firearm on his person simply for self-defense. I talked in an earlier vlog about a Supreme Court case about New York. They make it, as I've said in the past, I lived in New York for 40 years. I know it's almost impossible to get a concealed carry permit, unless, of course, you're a celebrity or a politician or rich, which is one of the arguments that the plaintiffs are making made before the Supreme Court, because it's totally arbitrary. You say you need a gun, and you cannot, it has to be a special circumstance. It cannot simply be that I want to defend myself. I want to exercise my right to, under the Constitution, to defend myself. They don't consider that a sufficient reason, but it depends who you are. No constitutional right. Imagine that you could not publish a newspaper or create an opinion website unless you were a celebrity or a politician. Suppose you had to show that you had a good reason for expressing your opinion or for worshiping as you choose. In other words, the First Amendment, or to demonstrate, to assemble peacefully for a redress of grievances. But our liberal friends make this exception they always treat it as Clarence Thomas said that the Second Amendment seems to be it's treated as an orphan amendment, that it doesn't have the weight and is not due the deference of the other 9 amendments. The Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments. Obviously, we have 27 altogether, but I don't think the liberals want even to admit that guns have ever been used offensively, which is one of their problems they have with this trial, because he was just found not guilty. He used a firearm to defend himself. So you cannot say that firearms they're used defensively. I read one statistic, something like 5 times as often as they're used offensively to commit a crime. And a lot of times you have to remember that death, somebody defends himself with a firearm without even firing it, just displaying it scares off the assailant. So that, that's all my points for today. As I said, the verdict just came in. We'll await further developments. Hopefully I won't be back here on Monday and you'll see it on Tuesday, reporting on riots. But it's really shameful in this country that there is one, because I've never heard of conservatives rioting over a verdict. Have you? I've never heard of it. I have a comment section. Put the reference in there. Give me the link to the story. I'm sure it would be on Google, on the internet, and I'll read it and report on it. But I think so far it's only the left. It's only Antifa and Black Lives Matter and other liberal radical left-wing groups that go out and riot. They're the only ones. So that's it for today. As always, thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate the time you spend with me. If you have any questions, suggestions for future topics, or comments, put them in the comments section below the video. You could subscribe. I love getting new subscribers. You can give me a thumbs up if you want. Here's an example of how to give a thumbs up. You would do it by, clicking something, but the thumb would be, I think it looks like that, okay? And share the video with anybody you think would like it, and above all, come back and see me again. I would love to see all of you again. I look forward to seeing all of you again, and until I do see all of you again, bye.